Continuing with this little series where we're rebuilding my current website. This was built in Bubble. We're rebuilding it in Dittofi. In the last episode, we created the beginnings of this little hero section up here with the image that's under the header or the nav bar, all that good kind of stuff. So now we're just going to add sort of some of this text in this button here. So cool. So let's go over here into Dittofi. And so the first thing I'm going to want to do, I want to add a div, obviously. So we'll just come in here and we'll just add a div. Uh, let's see. And here's that div. I guess technically I could drag it down to be under the image. So now it's down here, as you can see. But I actually want this, as you can tell, to sort of float on top of the image. So we're going to have to do some stuff with positioning. So I want this div block that's going to have the text to be relative, which means I'm going to make the image absolute positioning. So I'm going to do that. So now my div block gets placed on the top anyway. So if I select on my div block, its position is going to be relative, right? Sorry, I did that backwards. Let's go back here to the image. Let's make the image relative. Okay. And then we'll go back to the div and we're going to make it absolute. And we're going to make it, I don't know, let's do 40% from the top. Something like that. So that works. And then, of course, in terms of sizing, sorry, we'll do 100%, I guess. Height, we'll do auto. We're going to make it a flex box, but we're going to make it a column. So we'll do vertical, and then we're going to put everything, align everything in the center, and then we're going to do sort of space around for the justify. Okay. So cool. So now we've got this position where we want, essentially. So now we'll just start putting in some text. Okay. So I'm going to just do this again with span tags. You could use paragraph tags, heading tags, whatever you want to use. Doesn't really matter at this point, but I'll put my first span tag in here. And we need a little fancy little catchphrase. So I'm going to say, no code, infinite possibilities. Let me change this. And no, that's good. No code, infinite possibilities. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do some styling. Let me just move this so you can see here. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do some styling. I'm going to make it the same white, 80% transparency. Okay, I'm going to increase the size a bit. I'm going to center it so it'll always be centered, and I'm going to make it italicized. Okay, so that looks good. For a little catchphrase, I think my other one was we build web applications with no code. So maybe, yeah, I like that. No code, infinite possibilities. I think that's, yeah, I think that's good. So let's create another span just for that second tagline, if you will. So we'll put it under there. Oops, I don't know why it ended up down here, but we can move it up. There we go. And so let's put some spacing around this. So we'll do 32 pixel margin on the top, maybe 24 on the bottom because we're going to have our button. And we'll come in here. We want this to actually be, oops, sorry, typography. We want the size of this to be a little bit bigger than the heading above. So we'll do it a little bit bigger. We want this to be capitalized. We want to be white with 80% transparency. And I think that's good. We want this one to say, let's see, something along the lines of, let's see, your web application delivered quicker with, I don't know, quicker with reduced expenses or something like that. Okay, so we'll go back to the styling. We'll say we want this to be centered. I think that's probably pretty good. Actually, I want to do something else. I want to do a little bit of spacing around the letters. Sometimes that gives things a decent look. Let's do 3 pixels. Then actually we'll go up here and we'll do the same thing, but we'll just do 2 pixels. Okay, so that's looking better. I don't know if I necessarily like it wrapping lines, but we can work on that. So I think that'll be fine for now. And then we'll go ahead and create. I'm trying to think of how I want to do. If I want to do this with a button or a span tag. So I want to create this button. I think I'm actually, so we'll just go ahead and use the button element, I guess. And we'll drag it in here. Let's go in the navigator and see what we got. So there's our button. Let's close some of this stuff up. Just so we can kind of see what's going on. Okay. All right, so what do we want the button to say? Go into settings. So our button says, tell me more. So we'll put that in here. All right. We'll go into our styling. I want there to be a lot of sort of padding in here to make the button larger. So we'll do that. We'll actually add some to the left and right as well. Let's see. All right. So that looks better. I do want the font to be a little bit bigger. So we'll say 1. We'll do some spacing around the letters. All right. On our border radius, we'll do 5 of a border radius. I think that looks better. And then we'll do the background color here. And maybe, actually what we'll do is we'll do 80%. We'll do 90%. And then, let's see. I think that looks pretty good. I think we'll also go into typography and just give it a a little bit bigger weight here. I think that looks a little bit better. I will center the text, make sure that's text. Okay. So that's pretty good. That button's a lot bigger. I kind of like the way that looks. So let's go back up into here and see if we can do this with padding. We could do it certainly with just adjusting the height and the width of the button. So this is just kind of another alternative to that. And I'll show you maybe why this will be a little bit better in a minute here. There we go. Okay, so I think that looks a lot better. And then the only other thing I want to do is I want to change on hover. Right, I want the background. I want this to be full transparency or no transparency. Sorry. So there you go. That looks good. Okay, so we'll go back to state here. Okay, so we've got our button. I feel like maybe we should have a little more margin. Yeah, let's put a little more margin around this. Spacing, I think we've got 24. Let's just double it and see what that looks like. I think that'll give us a pretty decent look. Yeah, so I think this looks pretty good. So let's build the code. See what we've got. So we'll come in here. This is what it was. Let's reload it and see how it looks. Wait for that image to load. Yeah, I think that looks good. We'll want to work on a little bit of responsiveness because you can see this starts looking pretty bad here. So now let's go back and work on our responsiveness. So if I go up here, I know a couple of things I want to do. So when we're on smaller screens, this div, we want it to still I'm going to say we still want it to be, let me see what we had it set to. So it was 40%. So on the smaller screen, let's put this at like 25% from the top, maybe. Maybe that's a little too high. Let's put it 30%. I think that's fine. Then the next thing we'll do is we'll reduce the size of this to the same size as the text above it. And I think this will be pretty good. So let's build this. I'm still worried about the smaller screens, but let's build this, see what it looks like, because that may just solve most of our problems. Maybe we reduce the size of the button a little bit, but we'll see what this looks like. So looks good. Small screens, yeah, but it pops up. That looks good. And that text is smaller. Yeah, actually, I don't think that looks bad. I am going to put some margin around these items as well, just so as we start getting smaller, I think the margin will probably help a little bit with some of that layout as well. So we'll just do, we won't put much. We'll just put 12 on each side. And we'll do that on both of these. Oops. Whoa. Okay, so now let's see what we got. Oops. Let's see what we got. Make sure everything still looks okay. And I think we'll call our little hero section done after that. So I'll reload. So we got larger text. The div is 40% from the top here. Text is reduced in size. It scoots it up. Our menu, there's still plenty of room between the menu and that. And as we get really small, yeah, I think this looks pretty good. So yeah, we'll call that good for now. And then, so in the next video, we'll work on doing the services section here.